Welcome to the Week 15 promotion and relegation show, as we are going to be talking about the Tier 2 conferences as they have finished up and wrapped up their seasons in this week. And without further ado, let's get going and talking about these Tier 2 conferences, starting with the Mountain West and its promotion battle. Farmington was able to win their game against other promotion challenger San Jose State, which guaranteed them to move up into the Pac-12 and Tier 1 uncontested, with California getting blasted by Kansas this week. They will be replacing Stanford as they will be moving down into Tier 2 and the Mountain West. And looking at the relegation, what a finish for Billings in these last two games of the season, getting their only wins when they really needed them the most. Billings will be safe from the relegation spot after Air Force lost their game to Fresno State on a last-minute field goal. Air Force has now found themselves in the relegation spot after Billings beat them last week to settle the tiebreaker. They will wait to see the result of the Conference USA Championship game to see if they will be moving down to Tier 3. If Boise State wins that game, Air Force will find themselves falling to the Conference USA next season, with Boise State moving on up. So now talking about the Big Ten Conference and their promotion battle. With so many scenarios going into this week, the Big Ten was some of the most exciting football to watch this week. With 6 teams all vying for the coveted promotion spot, there were great games to keep an eye on. Starting with Joplin and their game against UTSA, Joplin was able to come away with the win, which now puts them in the driver's seat to earn the promotion. That ultimately means that Minnesota cannot earn promotion, as they needed Joplin to lose. It also means UTSA cannot fight for promotion as well, and cancels out the chance for that 6-way tie opportunity. So with Minnesota out, we could talk about them doing what they needed to and beating Tulsa. It was a good season overall for Minnesota, though, going 6-3 in arguably one of the most tightly contested conferences in the nation. And with the Minnesota win and the Joplin win, that means that UTEP is now out of the running as well as Wisconsin, which means that Joplin is going to be the team that earns promotion. Both Wisconsin and UTEP did what they needed to do by winning their games this week, but ultimately it is too little too late for them, as Joplin is going to win the tiebreaker in this 4-way tie for the promotion spot. Joplin will now be swapping places with Nebraska and move up into the Big 12 Conference with their 66 overall defense and 93 overall offense. And who says defense wins championships? So now looking at relegation and the 4 teams fighting for that spot. We already know that Tulane and Iowa lost their games, which means Iowa is going to be safe because of the Tulane loss. Tulane now needs Minnesota Tech to lose to Texas Tech, or else they will be the team that goes into the relegation spot. Minnesota Tech needs to win their game, or else they will be the team that is put in the relegation spot. And in a close one, Minnesota Tech did pull off the victory to Texas Tech, which means that Tulane is going to be the team that is put in the relegation spot. They will wait to see the result of the Conference USA Championship game to see if they will be moving down to Tier 3. If Louisiana wins that game, Tulane will be the team that is going to be relegated from Tier 2 and fall into the Conference USA next season, with Louisiana moving up. So now looking at the American Conference and their promotion and relegation battle. And for this conference, Virginia already placed themselves in the relegation spot and now awaits the result of the Sun Belt Championship game. If UAB were to win, Virginia would find themselves being relegated to Tier 3 and into the Sun Belt Conference. But looking at promotion, there were 3 teams fighting for the promotion spot. All Georgia Tech needed to do to earn promotion is win their game against Duke this week, And they did end up doing that, which means that Virginia Tech and Mississippi State will be staying in Tier 2. Georgia Tech will now replace NC State in the SEC and Tier 1 next season. And now looking at the MAC. Purdue already earned the promotion from the MAC after plowing through the competition in the MAC and will be moving up to the ACC next season, replacing Northwestern. The relegation battle is a bit closer and could result in a three-way tie if everything works out perfectly. Eastern Michigan is in the most precarious position, being at the bottom and losing the tiebreaker to Marshall. They need to win their game and Marshall to lose theirs to secure safety. Eastern Michigan won their game against Miami, Ohio, moving Miami, Ohio to 3-6 as well as Eastern Michigan. And Marshall was able to win their game against top 3 team in the conference, Central Michigan, to set up a three-way tie for the bottom. Unfortunately for Eastern Michigan, they find themselves at the bottom of the tie-breaking scenarios and will be the team that sits in the relegation spot. They will now wait to see the result of the Sun Belt Championship game to see if they will be moving down to Tier 3. If Toledo wins that game, Eastern Michigan will be the team that is going to be relegated from Tier 2 and fall into the Sun Belt next season. So that is what promotion and relegation looks like for all of the conferences. Now we will look at the conference championship games that are going to be coming up this next week for the 6 conferences that are doing them. The 4 Tier 1 conferences and the Tier 3 championship games to earn promotion. In the Sun Belt, starting at the top, in the Sun Belt, this game will decide who is going to be moving up into Tier 2. UAB is fighting to move up to the American Conference, and Toledo is fighting for the MAC. Both teams have had fantastic seasons, and UAB's defense has carried them. Toledo has had a very stellar offense, even with their low overall rating. Herb Street is rocking with 13th ranked Toledo, but that turnover differential against a defense like UAB's may cause problems. So now looking at the other Tier 3 conference, the Conference USA. This game is going to decide who's going to be moved up into the Tier 2 conference as well. Boise State is wanting to earn promotion to the Mountain West, and Louisiana is going for the Big Ten. Both teams have had strong defenses, and their defensive ratings are both their strong suits. Louisiana is boasting an incredible 24 turnover differential, earning the number 1 spot in the nation with that differential. Herb Street is choosing Boise to move up, but I think this game will be decided by whose offense can find the momentum the most. Boise hasn't really done that all year, while Louisiana has done a much better job. So now talking about the Tier 1 conferences and their championship games as they are fighting for the opportunity to play in the BCS Bowl games. So we're going to start with the games that are played first, ending with the games that are played last. So starting with the SEC. This game is showing to be an incredibly lopsided, not only in the ratings of each team, but also in offensive and defensive ratings. Alabama is one of the better ranked teams in the nation, but their obvious weakness is in passing defense. This could be a problem for them, as this is North Carolina's strong suit, being the 8th ranked team in the country in passing offense. Herb Street is going with Bama in this one, with the winner playing for the Orange Bowl. So now talking about the Pac-12. This game is going to decide who's going to be playing in the national championship game. USC is the only team in the country to have an undefeated record so far this season. On paper, USC is the much better team in this matchup in terms of overall and offensive firepower, although Oregon's defense is no slouch. They are a highly ranked team in those categories. Oregon's offense can also be electric. This one should be a fun one. Herb Street is going to be rocking with the Ducks in this one. So now talking about the ACC. Ohio State is trying to play their way into the national championship game against their rivals. Ohio State is the better rated team, and their offense and defense is the best in the country, being ranked number 1 in both offense and defense. Michigan is still a highly ranked team, and with this being a rivalry game, it's hard to really count out the Wolverines. Herbstreit is doing the unthinkable for him and choosing with his head instead of his heart and selecting Michigan to win this one. And the last game of the conference championship week, the Big 12. This final conference championship game is going to be between Texas and Oklahoma, and they will be playing this rivalry game for the opportunity to play in Pasadena and in the Rose Bowl. Texas's defense has carried them most of the way this season, being their best aspect and really carrying their offense, which can score points but doesn't collect a lot of yards. Oklahoma is a strong team, especially on offense, being the number 1 scoring offense in the country. Their defense is also highly ranked, making this a tough game for the team in orange. Herbstreit is going to be going with the higher ranked Sooners in this one. So that will do it for this week's promotion and relegation show. I'm excited to see how this season ends with these conference championship games and seeing who advances in the Tier 3 conferences. So stick around till next week to see how these go and how the season will end.